All rise.
The Kosovo Specialist Chambers is now in session.
Please be seated. Good morning and welcome. Court officer, can you please call the case?
Good morning, Your Honors. This is the file number KSC BC 2020-04, the Specialist Prosecutor versus Pjetër Shala. Thank you, Your Honors.
Thank you. I see that on my right-hand side we are in the same composition, and on the left-hand side I see a slight change. Defense Counsel, you have the floor.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you very much. Mr. Shala is with us. It's the same team, excepting Ms. Cheng, who is with you today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We note that very well. Mr. Shala, good morning. Can you confirm that you hear me well?
Good
morning, I can hear very well, thank you.
With the testimony of defense witness 4405, which is Mr. Safet Gashi. We will sit for 3 regular sessions and we have our regular breaks in principle. Before we proceed with the witness testimony, we will give an oral order concerning the prosecution supplemental rule notice, Rule 102, paragraph 3, that is filing 758, which was dated 8th of January of this year. Considering the limited numbers of items, we will proceed as follows in order to ensure that the defense receives the material promptly if they so request. The defense shall indicate to the SPO which items among the items listed in the notice it seeks to have access to, and if any, of course, by way of disclosure or inspection by today at 1 o'clock. Yes, and then the SPO shall provide access to the selected material that does not require redactions by Thursday, 11th of January at 1 o'clock. Yes, and should the defense seek access to and disclosure of Rule 102, paragraph 3 material that requires redactions, the SPO shall make a request to the panel by the same day, so Thursday, 11th of January at 1 o'clock. Should the SPO wish to dispute the materiality of the evidence indicated by the defense, it shall seize the panel by today. Yes, and this concludes our oral order, so we can proceed with the testimony of the witness. Court clerk, could you please usher the witness into the courtroom?
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning.
Thank you. Just to note for the record that we already requested all the items that are in the notice yesterday, so yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah, there are not so many, so we requested all of them. We believe they are relevant for us. So I think it's the ball is on the hands of the SPO now for disclosure or disputing or redaction. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you for this information. Noted.
Any honors, we owe some references to the defense and the panel, and I'm happy to provide them now or later at any other point. Just wanted to come back to that.
Very well. I would say at a later point, because if the witness comes in and we are talking...
Absolutely.
Thank you. Mr. Witness, good morning.
Good
morning. Very well, thank you.
Mr. Shala, can you hear the witness?
Yes, I hear him very well, thank you.
Mr. Witness, I remind you that you're still under oath to tell the truth. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do.
Good. I will now give the floor to Madam Prosecutor to continue the cross-examination by the Specialist Prosecution's Office. Madam Prosecutor, you have so far used 1 hour and 60 minutes for your questioning of the witness. It's close to the time used by the defense. They have used, to be exactly, 1 hour and 22 minutes in total. We will allow you to go over with the questioning of the witness as long as we see the relevance with a view to the determination of the truth. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honors. Good morning, Mr. Gashi.
Chairman, yes.
Good morning.
I'd like to start by asking a few questions on timelines. So, Mr. Gashi, yesterday you told us that you were in Kosovo until February or March, when we were evicted to Albania by the Serbian forces. And this is transcript page 3899, lines 5 to 6. You also stated that you left Kosovo about 3 days after your family had left for Albania. And this is at the same page, 3899, lines 18 to 19. Do you remember saying that?
Po?
Yes.
Do you recall a particular event that preceded your family's and your departure from Kosovo?
Io?
No.
This eviction of your family at the hands of the Serbian forces, did it happen before or after the NATO bombing?
Nuk kum kujtohet.
I can't remember.
Your Honors, can I perhaps then refresh the witness memory in this regard with this prior statement?
Please proceed, Madam Prosecutor.
May I have then 063317 TRET Part 1, Read 2, page 14, lines 18, 19 on the screen, please?
Please proceed, Madam Court Officer.
Mr. Witness, what you see in front of you is the English version, so I'll read it in English and then the translators will translate for you. So line 17, you said, "Let me be clear, when the bombing started, my family went to Albania, fled to Albania, and I went to fight in the war. When NATO started bombing the place, I joined the war." May I also have, just for the context, page 12, lines 17 to 21. Can we maybe zoom out a bit? Is this page 12? Can we move up a little bit? Apologies, this is actually part 2, not part 1. If we can please have the second part of the statement, the same year and number.
Please proceed, Madam Court Officer.
So page 12. Okay, thank you. Line 17. And again, witness, I'm reading here from the SPO interview. During the first 2 or 3 days when NATO started bombing, my family remained in Kosovo. I remained there too. I hadn't joined the war yet. I'd gone into town to buy some cigarettes. When I got back home, my family had already left to go to Albania. I joined the KLA that very day. Ms. Agashi, does that refresh your memory as to a specific event that happened when your family left then?
Po,
Yes, it does. As I said it earlier, I couldn't recall it, but what's said in here is accurate, yes.
Mr. Witness, I remind you that you are here to tell the truth and not to withhold anything about what you know.
as
Yes, no,
Nothing.
it just raises some questions that something that apparently is so important was so difficult for you to recall. Please proceed, Madam Prosecutor.
Thank you. So, Mr. Gashi, you confirmed that this
No.
leaving Kosovo was after the NATO bombardment, which we understand to have started on the 24th of March, 1999. So would it be fair to say that you went to Albania on or around the end of March, 1999?
po,
Yes.
And, Your Honor, this document can be taken down. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Court Officer.
Mr. Gashi, I'd like to clarify something else with you. How many times did you go to Kukës during the period of the war?
kom thonë edhe dje këtë
As I said yesterday when answering to this question, only once. It happened only once. I can't recall the date. I just went there to enroll, was issued a uniform, and from there I went to college or Kalimash.
Well, Mr. Gashi, in fact, yesterday, during the examination by defense counsel, you said that you went to Kukës in the month of March 99, together with 5 or 6 comrades, to get armaments, weapons. On that occasion, you paused briefly in Kukës to rest, and then you went to Kolsh or Kalimash. And this can be found at transcript page 3911, line 20, to page 3912, line 2. Do you remember saying that?
po ashtu është.
Yes, that's accurate.
Then you also explained that in Kukës, you received your uniform. And that was the time when you gave your personal details to Commander Rusdi Saramati and took the oath in the one-story building. And this was at page 3956, line 23, to page 3957, line 24. Do you remember saying that?
Po e vërtet është.
Yes, and it's accurate.
So this takes us to 2 separate and distinct occasions when you were in Kukës during the war. Does it not?
Po,
Yes.
However, yesterday you also said something else, again in response to a question from defense counsel about joining the KLA. Because then you said, and this is at page 3906, lines 16 to 21, that you went from Prizren directly to Gorozhup. You said from Prizren you went directly to Gorozhup. This is very different from what you told me, isn't it?
Jo e keni marrë vesh
No, you may have misunderstood it. First of all, I went to Kukës, from Kukës to Kalimash, and from Kalimash we went to Gorozhup, and that was approximately 7 to 10 days later. That is what I stated.
So then, first of all, Mr. Witness, then can you clarify why then you told counsel, Mr. Gilisen, that from Prizren you went directly to Gorozhup? You said that yesterday at the page I said before. Can you explain that?
Jo, unë kom thënë.
No, what I said was to Kukës. That is where I enrolled, was issued a uniform, and from there we went to Kolch or Kalimash.
Well, perhaps maybe I can just read the full passage, if that is okay with your honors.
Please proceed.
Thank you. So this is, again, page 3906, line 16. And counsel said, thank you. Do I have to understand that you start from the Kosovo to Gorozhup immediately, or you make a trip to some other places? Answer. At Gorozhup. Question. From Prizren directly to Gorozhup? Yes. So this is not the same as you're saying today, Mr. Witness, is it?
Ndoshta se kum
Maybe I did not understand the question that Mr. Counsel asked me.
The question seemed very clear. Proceed, Madam Prosecutor.
You know, Mr. Gashi, actually, yesterday you had initially told Mr. Gilisen the same story that you told me in the afternoon, that he's going to go to Kukës before Gorozhup, and this can be found at page 3901. But then you suddenly change your story once Mr. Gilisen reminded you about your previous statement to the SPO. Isn't this the case?
ashtu është.
That's right.
Is it right that you suddenly changed your story yesterday? Is that what you're saying now?
Jo.
No. I did not understand the question. I said it before the trial chamber, and as I said, this was in March. I can't recall the exact date, but I went to Kukës, where I was issued a uniform, and from there we went to Kolcho Kalimash. I did not understand very well the question asked by counsel.
Was very clear, Mr. Gashi. Counsel asked you whether you went directly from Kosovo to Gorozhup, and you said yes. I don't know what was unclear to you in that question.
Nuk e kum kuptu.
Maybe I did not understand the question very well, and I'm stating this for the third time. I went to Kukës, was issued a uniform, and we were taken to a place about 30 or 40 kilometers away from Kukës. I can't recall the exact distance.
Ms. Agashi, you see, in your SPO statement, in fact, you had gone so far as to say that during your deployment with the KLA, you had never been to Kukës. You had never set foot in Albania. Do you recall saying that in 2019?
E kom thënë, po kom
I did, I accepted, but what I meant to say was that I have not been to Kukës, but not Albania. Let's make it clear. As I said, I spent about an hour or two in Kukës altogether, and no more.
I'm afraid you did not say that, Mr. Gashi. And perhaps at this stage, I'd like you to maybe read what you said to the SPO in 2019, if your honors allow.
Please proceed, Madam Prosecutor. You can give the reference to Madam Court Officer. But before you do that, I give the floor to Defense Counsel. Defense Counsel, you have the floor.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just to suggest, since we don't have a transcript in Albanian, maybe that we put the original portion of the audio, so maybe the witness listens to the original language. But if it is technically too difficult, maybe we can...
No, I don't think that is necessary. I don't have any issue with our interpretation here.
No, not our. It's just that we don't have a transcript produced in Albanian, so the only option would be the audio, but we won't press too much. We know that it could be technically difficult to find the portion
we will
of
not
audio.
proceed in that way.
Okay, thank you.
Your honors, may I have 063317 TRET Part 2, Red 2, page 10.
Please proceed, Madam Court Officer.
So, Ms. Agashi, this is what you told the SPO in 2019 and starts at line 11. Question. Our understanding is that some of the 128th Brigade assembled near the border, but in Albania before initiating the operation. Answer. I don't know this. You can tell her she's right. They must have come from Albania. But my 2 feet have never stepped on Albanian soil. Never.
Kum desht me thonë Kukës.
What I meant to say, Madam Prosecutor, was Kukës. I must have been taken aback and put it the way it is, and I accept it.
Well, Ms. Agashi, you talked about Albanian soil. Not really, we're not discussing here about the Kukës headquarters or anything like that. You were talking about Albanian soil, weren't you?
Po e pranoj.
I accept it, yes.
Mr. Gashi, you said today, in answer to my questions, that you confirmed that you went to Kukës, so to Albania, twice during the war. Is that correct?
Njëherë.
Once.
Dhe më herët, njëherë.
As I said earlier, only once.
Well, actually, I presented you with 2 distinct instances, the time when you went to register, when you took the oath with the Commander Saramati, and then you talked about another occasion, the one when you went with 5 or 6 comrades to get some weapons.
Pa jo ditu konë.
It's on the same day. It's the same day in March, the day when we went there from Kosovo. It is the same day.
Well, from the way you describe these two moments, they appear to be two distinct occasions, and the way you spoke about them appears to be distinct. One in which you took the oath, and you never spoke yesterday about any weapons there, and then the timing when you were passing through Kukës and when you got the weapons, didn't you?
Zonja Prokurore.
Madam Prosecutor, all this event happened on the very same day as I mentioned it. From Kosovo, we went to Kukës, where we were issued with the uniform and weapons that did not contain any ammunition, because some people were able to use them and some not. That happened on the same day.
But then, and then I'll close it here on this. But Mr. Gashi, then didn't you just confirm before when I asked you specifically whether these were two distinct occasions, and you said that they were two distinct occasions? This is at page 8 of today's transcript, didn't you?
Jo nuk e thash këta.
No, that's not what I said.
That actually, lines 10 to 12. So this, and this is, I'm reading back from a transcript, I said, line 10, thank you, so this takes us to two separate and distinct occasions when you were in Kukës during the war, does it not? And you answer yes. So, didn't you just say that? Are you now changing your version again of the events?
Zonja Prokurore.
Madam Prosecutor, it looks like we're not understanding each other very well, and I'm stating the truth here. I went to Kukës only once, and I went from Kosovo, and that all happened on the same day.
Thanks, Mr. Gashi. Then I have another question.
Madam Prosecutor.
Orno.
Yes, please.
Mr. Witness.
Po.
Yes.
To answer as accurate as possible as you can, in order to avoid that we have any kind of misunderstandings. Do you understand that? Because
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
your testimony will be done at a later stage. But I urge you to tell the truth. Because here we are on a, I would say, a fact-finding, a truth-finding mission. And if you are not accurate in your answers, it becomes very difficult. And you have been presented with some possible discrepancies between your prior statement you gave to the SPO and what you said in court. And we will assess that later. But it raises some questions, some serious questions as to what is the truth here now. So I just wanted to remind you of that. And no, you need not to comment on that. I just wanted to remind you. No, you will not be given the floor, and I will now give the floor to Madam Prosecutor. Madam Prosecutor, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you.
Madam Prosecutor, the prior document is still up. Do you want to use that?
No, we can pull the document down.
Thank you, Madam Court Official. Can you pull it down, please?
Mr. Gashi, I have just one last point on this. You said this was one same episode, but in fact, again, the way you described this episode yesterday is quite different in the sense that when you mentioned going to Kukës to get these weapons, you mentioned going there in convoys to get weapons. So you must have joined the KLA at that point already. Again, aren't aren't we talking here about two different occasions in which you went to Kukës?
Jo, zonja prokuror.
No, we are not, Madam Prosecutor. It's the same case. I said it yesterday that in convoys we were sent to Kukës. We were issued weapons, and that was the single time that I was in Kukës, Madam Prosecutor.
Mr. Gashi, then I want to then ask you something else. Why, we read this earlier, why in 2019 did you deny having been in Albania to the SPO? What reasons did you have to deny even just passing through Kukës to get your uniform? Can you explain that to us?
Po, thash edhe më herët.
Like I said before, I was taken aback. I wanted to say in Kukës, but instead I said in Albania, because I've been in Albania in 1999, so that's what happened.
Well, you've been asking about, you were asked about Albania, about Kukës, about the Kukës metal factory at multiple points of that interview, and you reiterated that you were never there. Was there a reason why you said you were never in Albania during the war?
E vërtet është.
That's true.
That is true what? Sorry, Mr. Witness, maybe I'm not understanding you at this point.
E vërtet është pyetjen 2000.
It's true that in 2019, the question that was asked of me was related to Kukës and to some factories, but the true thing is that I have not been there. I've only been to Kalimash or to Kolch.
My question was actually a little bit different, Mr. Witness. My question was why you mentioned never being to Albania and to a specific location in Kukës.
Unë 3 herë jam ka përse.
This is the third time that I'm repeating the answer to you. I was confused. I wanted to say, or I meant to say, that I haven't been to Kukës. I've been to Kalimash or Kolch. I don't know the exact name, but that's where I've been.
Prosecutor, I just want to look, Mr. Witness, as I told you before, I'm not going to wait your evidence, your testimony here in court now. We are just listening to you. But you said, and at several occasions, like Madam Prosecutor has said, my 2 feet have never stepped on Albanian soil. I was not in Albania. Yeah. And then talking about your family, did you ever visit them in Kukës? No. How could I enter there? And I will not say more. So for us, it's difficult to understand, and I'm here to understand you. I have no other job to do today. I'm here to understand your explanation that there was confusion, because it's very difficult to deduce from this that there is confusion if you say the same thing on different occasions. Do you understand our position here? Huh? We are not here to trap you or anything. I just want to understand what you're telling us. So now you have the floor to explain to us this confusion. Where is this confusion? Please help me understand.
Zonja gjyqtare, unë.
Your Honor, I said it before. I was confused. I just meant to say that I did not remain in Kukës, but the fact and the matter was that instead of mentioning Kukës, I said Albania. So this is the answer that I've been giving for the third time now.
But you're still not explaining why on several different moments in time, it was not the same. Apparently, it's a continuous confusion, and I'm trying to understand that. Only that. But my question was clear. You have given your answer for now, and I will give the floor back to Madame Prosecutor. Thank you. Madame Prosecutor, you have the floor.
Thank you, Your Honors. So, Mr. Gashi, you told us today that you received the weapons and uniform in Kukës. Is that what you told us today, right?
Po.
Yes, that's true.
See, that's not what you told the SPO in 2019. Because at the time, you said that you received your uniform and weapon in Gorozhup. Didn't you say that?
Nuk më kujtohet kjo.
I don't remember this.
Jonas, may I use again the prior statement to refresh the witness memory on this point?
Yes, you may proceed, Madam Court Officer. As soon as you have the reference, you may pull it up.
Thank you. Can I have then the year and number? 063317 TR ET Part 1, Red 2, page 11, lines 19 to 21. Mr. Gashi, at the time you were asked, you said you received the uniforms and weapons. Was it right there, at that moment, that you were given uniforms and weapons? And you answered, yes, yes, in Gorozhup.
Zonja Prokurore,
Madam Prosecutor, I don't know how somebody can join the war without having weapons. I'm telling you the truth, and the truth is that I've taken the weapons in Kukës.
Well, Mr. Gashi, perhaps you can tell us how someone can join the war without weapons, because you have been in the war. So how is it possible then? How do you explain that?
po zonja Prokurore, mund
Yes, Madam Prosecutor, I can explain that to you. The war in Kosovo has been over for 25 years now. Therefore, it is impossible for me to mention the exact dates, where, when, because things can be forgotten over time.
Well, Mr. Gashi, getting weapons and uniforms doesn't seem a detail for a soldier in a war, but
We pull the document
yes,
down?
yes, Jonas,
Thank you, Madam Court Officer.
Again, Mr. Gashi, would you agree with me that there is quite a difference between what you said to the SPO in 2019 and what you told us today?
po mundet me pas dallim.
There can be a difference. I accept that. However, it's possible for people to forget, because I have been here in September 2019, whereas I thought that I was here in April 2019 instead of September. So one can forget. 5 years have passed by, because now we're talking about events that have happened 25 years ago. I have forgotten.
I'll move on to another area. Yesterday, you were asked by the defense about training with the KLA, and you said twice that you only received training in Gorozhup, and this was at page 3909, lines 1 to 3, page 3909 from line 24 to page 3910, line 1. Then, in cross-examination, you said that you trained in Kalimash. You said that you were trained on how to use the long arms, the mines, the bombs. And this is at page 3960, lines 8 to 10. Do you remember saying that yesterday? Sorry, Mr. Wilson, didn't hear your answer.
Shumë mirë më kujtohet.
I remember that very well. We were trained in Kalimanj, but in Goreshub as well. So we had some training in both locations. That's true, Madam Prosecutor.
However, Mr. Witness, you said something quite different in your SPO statement again in 2019. Then you said that actually you didn't train at all. You said you were a hunter, that you knew how to use weapons, that you didn't have time to do training because you were at war. Do you remember that?
Ashtu është.
That's true.
The reference is again, is the prior statement of the witness, 063317, part 1, read 2, page 11.
I would like to have that quoted up.
Yes, of course. Line 22 of page 11. Yeah. Shall I read it, Your Honors? Yeah.
I think that is instructive for the witness.
Yeah. So, Mr. Gashi, you were asked on that occasion, question, did you receive any training? And you answer, the people that knew how to use a weapon didn't need to receive any training. I didn't need to receive any training myself because I was a hunter before the war. And if we could please move to page 12, the following page. And then you were asked, what about training as a soldier? It's different than being a hunter. And you answer, yes, but I didn't train. I didn't receive training. And we can scroll further down on the same page, line 19. And then you were asked again, what about just military, formations, how to communicate between different units? Regular armies are taught all sorts of things about how to operate as an army. Were you taught any of those things? And you answer, no, because it was wartime, and we didn't have many opportunities to train at all. So, Mr. Gashi, how is it that in 2019 you said you didn't train at all, but today you're saying actually you train in 2 locations, both in Albania and in Kosovo? Why is that?
Po, është e vërtet.
Yes, that's true. It's true that I've been trained. I accept that. But I haven't been trained that much because the people that knew how to use weapons, like I said yesterday, those people could join the war immediately without having any further experience with the army. That is something that I said yesterday as well.
My question was, why did you say, or did you not say in 2019 that you did train? Why did you deny that to the SPO? You said, no, I didn't train. You said that twice.
E vërtet është
That's true. I've forgotten. That's the reason.
Why did you say that you didn't train? Is there an explanation for that?
Kum harru thash.
I've forgotten. This is what I said. So I have forgotten to give you that detail in the interview of 2019. We had some training, but we didn't train for longer than a week. It was about a week to 10 days. That is something that I said yesterday as well.
Well, you had forgotten then, but you're remembering now. And again, as we've seen, you've been asked actually more than one time during that interview. And you seem to have been very assertive about not being trained at all at the time. Weren't you?
Po, e vërtet.
Yes, that is true, but I have forgotten to tell you about this. I told you yesterday, nonetheless, that I've been trained, Madam Prosecutor.
Thank you, Mr. Gashi. Your Honors, for the next questions Can we please move into private session if we have... Yes, please.
Madame Court Officer, can you bring us into private session, please? And can we bring the document down, please?
Your Honors, we're in public session.
Thank you, Mr. Court Officer. Mr. Witness, we are now going to have a break. We will resume at 11:35. Take some rest, and then we will continue afterwards. Thank you for your efforts now.
Ju faleminderit zonja gjykatëse.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Clerk. What we will do is we will now break, but then afterwards I will go into private session, and you will be able to put your comment on record. And then at the beginning of just after the break, I will also ask you to give us your references that you wanted to give us earlier today. Yes, that's yeah.
Unanimous.
Yes, Your Honors. Maybe we can do it in public also, the comments.
Okay, but then we do everything together, and then
Yes,
we take now the
absolutely.
break. Yes, the hearing is adjourned.
All rise. All rise.
Please be seated. Now, good. Welcome back. Let me see. Yes, SPOs in the same composition, Victims' Council 2, and here we have one person less or missing.
Hello, Your Honors. Ms. McKay is performing work at the office, so she's not here with us in the courtroom. Thank you.
Very good. We note that with respect to who is present in the courtroom. Very well. Yes, I will first give the floor to the defense in order to put on record the submission they wanted to make.
Thank you, Your Honor. And after reflecting, because we're going to give a couple of examples, we might need to go to the private session to give it justice. Thank you.
Very well. Madam or Mr. Court Officer, Mr. Court Officer, please, can you bring us into private session?
Your Honors, we are back in public session. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Court Officer. Madam Prosecutor, please, you have the floor to provide us with the reference.
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. So this part was discussed yesterday at transcript page 3995, lines 8 to 14. And with regard to Hidayat Gashi being part of Brigade 128 under Rusdi Saramati, the reference is ERN 065236 TRET Part 2 Red, page 8, lines 1, 2. On Hidayat Gashi being in Valbon Kollaku's unit, it's the same ERN number, page 9, lines 11 to 15. On joining the KLA at the Cookers Metal Factory, same ERN, page 22, lines 6 to 19. On fighting in Gorojup, same ERN, page 27, lines 11 to 13, and page 30, lines 16 to 17. On being in Kukes before going to Gorojup, same ERN, page 30, lines 12 to 25, and on being on the demining unit under Valbon Kollaku, same ERN, page 19, lines 1 to 3. And these were all the references, Your Honors.
Thank you. Defense Counsel, if there's something missing, then I will hear from you. Thank you. Good, then we proceed with the testimony of witness 4405. Madam Court Clerk, could you please bring the witness into the courtroom? Thank you. Welcome back, Mr. Witness.
Thank you.
Mr. Shala, did you hear the reply of the witness?
Po.
Yes, I did.
Thank you. Good. Mr. Witness, we have concluded your questioning by the Specialist Prosecutor's Office, and we will now proceed with the further examination. I will now see if Victims' Counsel has questions for you. Victims' Counsel, would you like to proceed with the examination?
Yes, please, Your Honour, I would. Thank you.
Okay. Very well. Mr. Witness, the floor is now given to Victims' Counsel for his questioning. You have the floor.
Good morning, Mr. Witness. I'm going to ask you some more questions about one topic that you have been asked about already today, or we're going to need to move into private session for that, Your Honour.
Thank you. Mr. Court Officer, can you bring us into private session, please?
Your Honors, we are back in public session. Thank you.
Thank you. We have now completed the questioning of the witness by Victims' Counsel. Defense Counsel, do you want to put something on record? And if it's needed, then we can go back into private session.
Your Honor, it was to suggest that we cut to the chase. We understand there are two possibilities of explanation. We should have put both of them, and we would have won a lot of time, but one of the possibilities has been put ultimately, and that's what was gonna suggest, is to actually go directly, not that to cut it. When I said roaming around, make it cut to the chase and suggest, because it was somehow misleading to put compassion and the other explanation in the same question. I cannot say more in public, but
no, that's the reason I suggested to you to go into private. Then you can say as much as you want. But it was not. If it would have been misleading, we would not have proceeded.
Thank you, Your Honors.
Good. Very well. Then, Defense Counsel, do you wish to proceed with a redirect examination of the witness?
No, thank you very much. No.
Very well. Then it stops here with regard to the parties and Victims' Counsel. I will now confer with my colleagues to see if we have any questions for you, Mr. Witness. Mr. Witness, you will be asked questions by the panel, and I will give the floor to Judge PT on my left-hand side, and he will proceed with some questions for you. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Judge. And I think we have to go to private session.
Very well. Mr. Court Officer, can you bring us into private session? Mr. Court Officer, can you bring us into private session, please?
Your Honors, we are back in public session. Thank you.
Thank you. I turn now to the parties and to Victims' Counsel. Do you wish to ask the witness any further questions related to the topic just discussed by Judge Beatty?
No, Your Honors, thank you.
Victims' Counsel.
No, thank you, Your Honour.
Defense Counsel. Okay, good. Thank you. Mr. Gashi, we have reached the end of your testimony, and I would like to thank you for the efforts you have put in answering the questions. Thank you very much. I remind you that you shall not discuss with anyone your testimony given before the specialist chambers. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor, I understand it very well.
Safe travel home. Madam Court Clerk will now assist you out of the courtroom.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Court Clerk. Madam Prosecutor, could you give the panel the references to the propositions? Then we have them on record today.
Yes, Your Honor, apologies. I was just discussing this matter with my colleague. So I do have the references to these propositions put by us to the witness today at page 39, and it is correct that some of these references come from prior statements of the witness, but our position is also that some of these need to be read in conjunction with this in-court testimony. And perhaps Your Honors, to give the references, I would request to go into private session just out of... thank you.
Yes, you may. Mr. Court Officer, can you please bring us into private session?
In public session, Your Honors. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Then we have another oral ruling. It's the defense request to admit the evidence of witnesses 4405, 4441, 4280, and 4440 pursuant to Rule 153 of the Rules. That's filing 644, dated 11th of September 23. Having heard all 4 witnesses live, the panel rejects the request as moot. It's just stood not to leave it pending. Huh? This concludes the second oral order, and then we have a third oral order concerning the defense request to amend its witness and exhibit list and to call a psychologist witness to testify in person, and it is filing 756, dated the 4th of January of this year. Having taken note of the parties and participant submissions, including yesterday in court, the panel decides as follows. We grant the defense request to amend its witness and exhibit lists pursuant to Rule 119, paragraph 5 of the rules. Seeing that the request was submitted promptly after Mrs. Melatzer's expert report was finalized, the report is relevant for the purposes of sentencing and there's no objection from the SPO or Victims' Counsel in this regard. The defense shall submit its amended witness and exhibit list by Friday this week, so by Friday the 12th of January 2024. Second, with regard to the second request, we reject the defense request to call the expert to testify in person. Beyond making generic submissions, the defense has not further substantiated what aspects of her report would need clarifying and what questions it would seek to ask to the expert. We further note that neither the SPO nor Victims' Counsel challenged the report of the expert's qualifications, and they do not seek to examine the witness. We don't see a need to call the expert to testify live. Accordingly, the panel will proceed to rule on the admissibility of a report as envisaged in Rule 149, paragraph 3 of the rules. We find the report to be relevant for the purposes of sentencing as it contains an assessment of Mr. Shala's individual circumstances. The report is authentic, it's being dated, it is signed by the expert, has probative value, and its probative value is not outweighed by its prejudicial effect. We therefore admit the expert report into evidence. This extends to both the French and the English version. We further consider the CV of the expert to be available for the purposes of its deliberation and the judgment. And we thereafter instruct the registry to assign exhibit numbers to the report. It's ERN DPS 01735 till DPS 01757 and DPS 01758 DPS 01781. And the ERN number of the CV is DPS 01730 DPS 01734 for the purposes of maintaining an accurate record of the proceedings pursuant to Article 40, Paragraph 5 of the law and Rule 24, Paragraph 1 on the rules, and to classify these documents as confidential. And this concludes the third oral ruling. And the fourth oral ruling concerns the presentation of evidence in rebuttal by the SPO. We have taken note of the filing of the SPO 740 dated 8th of December 2023, notifying that notifying us that it did not intend at that point to present evidence in rebuttal. I also recall that in an oral order dated the 29th of November 2023, we stated that you would be allowed to modify this filing if you so wish after the closing of the defense case. We direct the SPO to file any request to present evidence and rebuttal, if it so wishes, by Wednesday, 17th of January 2024. And in the interest of an efficient conduct of the proceedings, and to the extent that any request to present evidence and rebuttal concerns non-oral evidence, we also direct you to make any request to tender such evidence into the case record at the same time. Yeah? Responses may be filed by Friday, 19th January 2024, and the SPO may reply, if it so wishes, by Tuesday, 23rd January 2024. And this is, of course, subject to the defense closing its case on Monday, 15 January 2024, as envisaged in our oral order of the 29th of November 2023. And this concludes the panel's oral order. There will be further deadlines, of course, regarding the upcoming procedural steps, and we will give them to you in due course. Let me first finalize this part. Yes, then I turn to parties and victims' counsel to see if there's anything left to raise with the panel. Madam Prosecutor.
No, Your Honor, it's not on our part. Thank you.
Thank you. Victims' counsel.
Your Honour, we were just going to ask whether it's possible to have some guidance as to the sitting days in the immediate future.
Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor, just to seize the moment to announce that today we will be filing our crime site request, supplemental submissions today, if all goes well. Thank you.
Very well. That's one of our pending decisions. Victims' Counsel, with regard to your guidance as to the upcoming sitting days, we have one scheduled for the 19th and the 22nd, and in principle we will not be sitting, but we will give you an official notice between tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, just to see if there would be anything pending that would need, would be easier to do it in court than to do it in a written way. That's the reason that we have left it open, but we will not keep those days too long hanging in the air without knowing if we will be sitting or not.
Your Honour, that's very helpful. Thank you very much.
Good. Yes? Thank you. Then I thank the parties and Victims' Counsel for their attendance today, and I also wish to thank the colleagues of the court management unit, the interpreters, the colleagues of the audio-visual booth, and the stenographer, and the people of security for their assistance today. The hearing is adjourned.
All rise.